The sun dipped below the tree line, casting long shadows over the dense forest as the group of friends trudged along the overgrown trail. The campground was supposed to be a weekend getaway, a chance to disconnect from the world and reconnect with each other. But as the trees closed in around them, the air grew colder, and the cheerful banter faded into uneasy silence. "Are you sure this is the right way?" Jess asked, her voice trembling slightly. She adjusted the strap of her backpack, her eyes darting to the darkening woods. "Yeah, it's just up ahead," Mark replied, though his confidence wavered as he glanced at the map. The trail markers they'd been following had disappeared an hour ago, and the GPS on his phone had stopped working. "Great! We're lost," muttered Ryan, kicking a rock off the path. "I told you we should have stayed at the main campsite." "Relax," said Sarah, the most level-headed of the group. "We'll find it. It's just a little farther." But as they pressed on, the forest seemed to shift around them. The trees grew closer together, their gnarled branches twisting like skeletal fingers. The only sounds were the crunch of leaves underfoot and the occasional distant hoot of an owl. Then they heard it. A low, guttural growl echoed through the trees, sending a chill down their spines. The group froze, their eyes scanning the shadows. "What was that?" Jess whispered, clutching Ryan's arm. "Probably just an animal," Mark said, though his voice betrayed his fear. "Let's keep moving," Sarah urged, her tone firm. "We'll set up camp as soon as we find a clearing." They quickened their pace, but the growling followed, growing louder and more menacing. The forest seemed to close in around them, the trees pressing closer, the shadows deepening. And then they saw it. A figure stood in the distance, silhouetted against the fading light. It was tall and hunched, its limbs unnaturally long. The friends stopped in their tracks, their breath catching in their throats. "Hello?" Mark called out, his voice shaky. The figure didn't respond. Instead, it tilted its head, as if studying them. Then, with a sudden, jerky movement, it lunged forward, disappearing into the trees. "Run!" Sarah screamed. The group bolted, their hearts pounding as they crashed through the underbrush. The growling grew louder, joined by the sound of heavy footsteps closing in. They didn't dare look back. Finally, they stumbled into a clearing, their chests heaving. In the center stood an old, dilapidated cabin, its windows dark and its door hanging ajar.